Sing with me, Tom Smith, the Beatles tune. Hello, hello. I don't know why you say goodbye. I say hello. Hello, hello.
Hello.
I don't know why you say goodbye.
Let's go to
hello.
I can't quite do that, you know.
Hello. Then they got the big flourish and the finish at the end. Hey, la. Hey, hello.
I think they sound a lot better than we did.
I think they sounded a lot better than we did. And if Johnny Holm would have been here, he would have nailed it. He would have nailed it. What was that, 2-3 weeks ago on the Mortgages and BS show where you took the show on the road to Toby Keith's and Johnny was on the program? He's such a great spirit. God, I love that guy. I love his energy, and I like seeing him on stage, of course.
And the scary part is I know how old he is, too. I mean,
I'm going to apologize on behalf of Tom, Johnny. Just if you hear this, Johnny.
He actually, it's funny. I mean, he still has a kid's heart. I mean, he's like most of us men. We don't really grow up.
Yeah.
You know, we're still children at heart. And he really loves to entertain. And
yes, he does.
And you know, like we were joking when I said, I can remember the whole thing, the Johnny Holm Traveling Fun Show.
Of course, yeah.
And that is what it is. It's a fun show. He gets the audience involved. You know, his daughter's getting more into it. The band gets into it. I mean, it's about when you can get the audience into the music and the performance, they just have so much more fun.
Yeah, they sure do. And I love that, you know, he sings about every fourth or fifth song, and his daughter's on a lot of songs singing up front, and the other band members are, the keyboard guy, the guitar guy. And Johnny's more like a ringleader, and it's just so fun to watch him just making his way around the stage. And some of those songs they do are, you know, call and response type songs where he sticks the mic out there and everybody responds, and he is truly like the man in the top hat managing the three-ring circus. It's just fun to see.
Well, what I like to, I mean, John still knows all the words, all the songs.
Yep.
I've had the mic in my face with him a few times, and I kind of chuckled about it. I said to him one time, I said, "I'm so glad you're not like Don Ho." He looked at me and said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "I was in Hawaii back in the 90s. Don Ho was like in his 60s. Don was so drunk.
Oh, no.
He didn't know the words to his own songs, including Tiny Bubbles.
Honey, what are they?
It was hilarious.
The vine.
John's up there. You can watch him. You can watch him while they're singing. He's still mouthing the words on the side. He's bopping.
Knows
he's
them
having
all.
a good time.
Yeah.
And the new song, I've been listening to that a lot.
That's a good song. Yep. Yeah, we got copies of that. It's a nice song.
Got it on the iPod. Got it on the phone. So it'll be on the boat this weekend.
Yeah. Very. What? No. No, I only bring up there's no diss on Johnny. I'm just saying, what are you saying, Tom Smith? By the way, welcome to the Mortgages and BS show with BT and Tom Smith here. I'm sorry, Tom Smith and BT here. What are you saying? There is a Jimmy Buffett only rule on the Tom Smith Summer Cruiser, and I'm beside myself. I don't know what just happened here. Cats are now sleeping with dogs. Summer happens during wintertime. I mean, what just happened here?
Well, you know, being that it is my boat, and I am in control of the music.
You can call an audible.
I can call an audible. I mean, you know, we'll listen to little Beach Boys on there, too.
Okay,
we'll listen to little Bob Marley. Anything that's got that funny funk summertime
groove. I thought it was a Buffett only thing. I maybe misunderstood
Buffett 99.9% of the time. Let's just get right. Matter of fact, my kids are trying to figure out where I'm hiding my tapes so they can smuggle something else on there. But I put Jimmy on there so I can just plug him in and pop it on my iPod and play it on the boat or something like that. It's just a good song. And actually, since it's Minnesota summer nights, really the best time to do it is sitting there around sunset.
There you go.
It's an awesome song.
It is a sweet song. So congrats to Johnny Holm and the band and for the continued good work on stages all across Minnesota and especially around the Twin Cities area where most of our podcast listeners are and, have a chance to see him from time to time.
We have a podcast listener in the state of Washington.
Really? Who'd you hear from?
Good friend of mine by the name of Brian Miga. He moved out to Washington, probably 6 months ago. We used to with a company out there. And I would try to say the name of the city he's in, but I would just disaster it.
Mississippi-Pabwaqua or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
One of the great Indian names, and I don't mean to denigrate any of those names, but they're difficult to pronounce. Sometimes.
Every week I get an email or a text from him, hey, listen to the show. Hey, listen to the show.
Nice.
And
hey, man, how are you?
That makes me feel good. So, Brian, I appreciate it.
Hey, Brian. We miss you at the Brian's Club meetings, Tuesday nights, first Tuesday every month here in Minnesota, buddy. But that's okay. There's a chapter out in wherever you are, Washington State.
Well, actually, on Thursdays we used to get together for some beer and wings and pizza. But
well, that's another story. That's another story all day. Actually, that's probably a long series of stories.
Well, there was beer involved.
Oh yeah, indeed. Exactly.
There you go, BT.
Thank you. That was a nice tee up. It took me a second.
I sat there going, is he going to do it or not?
Exactly.
So it's been a good week. I don't know. I was a little bummed out today. I don't know if you saw the deal on Facebook. The guy that used to play in the Avengers.
Patrick McNee.
Yep, he passed away. I mean, I grew up with that show. I mean,
Loved that show.
you and I both probably did.
Oh, yeah.
And, you had the gal, the sexy gal that was his sidekick and
Yep,
stuff.
Diana Rigg, who now is on Game of Thrones. I mean, she's a dame now, and by that I believe she's an actual dame, Diana Rigg.
I believe she is.
But she's, let me say, like McNee, she was, not too far behind him in age, so in her 80s, and she has all of the acting chops that you would expect out of a great woman of British theater. She is just incredible, and I might add, because I really appreciate folks as they get older. I mean, I love the wisdom in the eyes of old people. I love the face, how it changes. I love everything about it. And what I'm saying here is she has just the most wonderfully old face. And by the way, being a performer and an actor, knows completely how to use it and uses it better. Probably her acting chops are probably better than ever before, because that's what great artists do. They get better as they get older. They don't stop improving.
All I know is it's pretty weird to be 6 years old and thinks, hey, that lady's hot.
Lady's hot. Because I'm with you. Diana Rigg was just the sexiest thing on television. I'm with you.
Then there was the other one with the lady. She had the tiger or whatever. She was like a private eye, and she had the tiger or whatever in her apartment.
Remember that one now. I don't remember that one.
For some reason, lately, I've kind of been getting reminiscent of my childhood, because we've lost quite a few people that were actors in the 60s and even the 70s. And I remember the 60s, obviously, and you got people from the 50s that we were watching in the 60s. And it's going, God, it just seems like it's a whole new era coming up on us. And it's kind of disappointing, but then you start looking at the new things coming through, and it gets pretty exciting, too. Yeah.
McNee had a turn in one of the James Bond movies back in the day, too. Only one, but he was just, still that just classic, British spy guy, gentleman guy. He was Bond's, sort of assistant guy. And he just had it all going on.
I used to like his topper.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when they had the reruns, too. For some reason, these little catch lines stick in your head. And I remember it was, "The Avengers are back." Good show. And it was a good show.
Well, I think they did a movie on the Avengers, I think, a while back. Yeah. I didn't get to see it. I don't think it's going to be quite as hot as, but
I chose not to, because I didn't want to, take any of the images of Diana Rigg, and have them be, an actress that wasn't Diana Rigg from my youth. Yeah,
you still think about her, don't you?
Thinking about her right now. She had like a cat. She wore like Catwoman leather. I mean, 6 years old, 7 years old. And you're watching that on television. And
Mom and Dad are going, "What are you watching and why?"
I don't know, Mom, but I've got a very funny feeling in certain parts of my my young manliness, Mom. I'm feeling pretty good here.
No, Twins are still doing well this week. We got the draft tonight for the Wolves. Everybody expects them to take Towns. That should be good. FOMC met last week. We didn't even get a chance to talk about that.
We'll talk about that in a second. I'm thinking about Billy Corgan right now, leader of Smashing Pumpkins. They're doing an acoustic show tonight. By the way, we're doing the show Thursday, the Mortgages and BS show Thursday, June 25. And Billy Corgan and Smashing Pumpkins in town at the Pantages for an acoustic show. And I don't know if he's a Cubbies or a Sox fan, but let's just kind of rub it in a little bit, because 2 out of 3 against the Sox, not bad.
Yes, I mean, I've been amazed this year with that team. I mean, they've had their ups and downs, but I tell you, they're looking good.
Yeah, they are.
35,000 for a day game last week.
How about that?
Yeah. They haven't done that since they were going to the series way back when.
Yeah, absolutely. And the park is just a great experience. And the Saints, by the way, are having the same kind of experience in St. Paul. That they're packing them in there for those games. It's just wonderful to see.
My wife even said to me, she goes, "We've got to go to the new stadium." I said, "Yeah, we will." I said, "It's sure still like the old days where it's like a show and it's
totally.
But that's a lot nicer stadium what they had. So I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I'm seeing Dr. John this coming Saturday. Dr. John is a part of the Twin Cities Jazz Festival. Not so much a jazz artist, but it's a broad scope of music that the TCJF brings in St. Paul. The Lower Town Mears Park area, all the different clubs and what have you get participation in activities going. 70s. And Mears Park or what, or the jazz thing.
Dr. John.
Dr. John. Yeah. Thomas in the right place, but I'm up in the wrong time. Yeah.
Was it Wolfman Jack or was it Dr. John?
And then when you hear Wolfman coming on the air talking about Dr. John, then it got even more confusing.
It was even weirder, exactly.
Yep.
Dr. John. Then you had Dr. Hook.
Dr. John has a new record out, and he's also touring with songs of his second to the most recent record. And again, like a Diana Rigg, here's a guy who's been making music for that many years and only continues to get better. I mean, get better. Performances on stage, recordings. He just he doesn't stop. He keeps moving the ball forward, and it's pretty cool to see.
And how about Taylor with his first number 1 or whatever top 10 hit?
What's that now?
Oh, why am I? You know what I'm talking about? Taylor. Why am I missing his name? Why am I screwing up his name here? Well, don't do that to me. Why am I screwing this one up? I can't remember the first name.
I'm not ready. I don't keep an eye on the charts a whole lot, Tom.
Well,
even though I'm a pop culture guy.
James Taylor. James Taylor.
Okay. Oh, got it. Really?
Yeah. I just saw.
I mean, he's got a new record out. Yeah.
I just saw something like he just had like his biggest hit or whatever, like his number 1 or something like that. Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy's been playing 40 years.
Oh God, yeah. One of the first artists to sign with the Beatles' Apple record. Actually, if I remember right, he was the first artist to sign with the Beatles' Apple Records company back in 1968, right? 67, 68.
It's about the time I started playing the drums. Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. So he was that guy. I haven't heard the new record. I've heard about it now that you bring it up. And by the way, your that was very, it wasn't, you weren't like rocking. What I'm saying is you weren't like rocking. You were doing I'm trying to remember a balladeer.
It was my Dylan does Taylor.
This guy's James Zagabay.
But no, and I just saw that.
I'm looking forward to listening to that new record.
I was amazed by it, and he's a folksy songwriter.
God, yeah.
I mean, it's not like a jam type thing. It's more of a balladeer, and I like his music. I think it's good stuff.
Well, if you got a chance, go dig up the Troubadour tour footage when Carole King and James Taylor were on tour together 2 years ago. They made a DVD of that, made a record of that, and just remarkable. Two of the greatest, arguably greatest, singer-songwriters of that whole singer-songwriter era. And Carole actually came out of the Tin Pan Alley world, where she was writing songs alongside her husband Jerry Goffin for others. So she was cranking out music just as a songwriter and getting songwriting credits. But like Little Eva, the Locomotion,
yep.
Everybody's doing. I mean, that's a Carole King song. I mean, written for her, and so that's where she made her living for the longest time. And then obviously with the Tapestry album in 1972, she, let me use the word again, arguably changed the whole notion of what a singer-songwriter was all about, or if not began the whole process of this genre that we call the singer-songwriter. And James Taylor was right there alongside her. So those two together, I think, were among those that made that whole thing happen.
What's weird is I've got some old cassette tapes, and unfortunately I can't play them. We lived in Germany at the time. We recorded them. I recorded them over there, and it's a different whatever.
Oh, a different system, yeah.
And I probably did Casey Kasem every weekend, top 40 for 4 years.
Hello again, Tom, and welcome to American Top 40.
And I have all these T-Rex, the whole thing. So I was playing around the other day, and I think you saw it. I put that stupid 14-minute video out there of the Sugar Hill Gang.
Yeah, I loved it. That was great.
And I was sitting
From
there,
Soul Train?
Yeah, and I'm sitting there looking
Are you kidding me?
And I'm going to myself, I used to bust those moves. And I'm sitting there going, just jamming in my chair, and everybody's walking by my door going, what are you doing? I said,
well, I didn't see the 14-minute one. I saw it was like a 3.5-minute deal from Soul Train. But still, it was like, and then they, like they do on all those shows, like American Bandstand back in the day, or Soul Train with Don Cornelius, how they would then, fade the song, and the guys would, because they're just jamming to their track, but they fade the song. But it was awesome.
I found myself laughing so hard because I was going, God, I think about some of the music I grew up with, which is now classics, right? Think about it, BT. I mean, what we listen to is classics now. I just think it was normal stuff. But I think I was laughing more about what the people were wearing.
Yeah.
The hairdos. Because any old thing from the 60s or 70s always has good hairdo, even the 80s now. But the dance moves were just hilarious.
They're great.
And I was thinking back, I used to have 3-inch wedges, and, all right, anyway, I was kind of a disco kind of guy in the 70s. So
let me just add that you've got the hip, hop, hippity hop, hop, the hip hop Mortgage beat.
And I had a pink leisure suit.
Oh, no, really? Oh, my.
Pink leisure suit.
Oh, well, you were really something back in the day, weren't you, young man?
Yeah, my wife really loves that picture,
you
too.
You really had her going on. All right, let's cut to the chase on the FMOC, because we didn't talk about it last week. The Federal Market Open Committee. It's made up of like 5 of the governors, 12 of the people here, just the money people, And, these are the ones that get together and determine policy, that, determine what's going to happen. So what's going on?
Well, the weird thing is, back in the old days when we had some of these older guys, they used to try to anticipate stuff when they were going to the meetings. Like Greenspan would have his briefcase a certain way, and they were like looking at how those papers were, and they try to anticipate and analogize it.
With like talisman-like things,
Yep.
or reading the tea leaves sort of things. Really?
Yep, they
really
used to do that.
Oh, he was carrying his briefcase in the other hand.
And then
today.
after he got
Wow.
married,
Wow.
they were even better ones. Oh, he's smiling today.
Oh, wow.
But with Yellen, they can't tell anything yet. The Feds have a tough situation. I mean, we went into this mess we went into, created by the mortgage bubble and the housing bubble. And, of course, it's all regulated and everybody's on top of it. But the Feds still have a hard job determining what to do. And the Fed rates at 0%. I mean, it doesn't get much cheaper than that. And
How can it? Right. It can't.
And I can remember back like in the early 90s and stuff when rates would get down around 4%, 3.5%, the Fed rates would be like 2.5 to 3.
Right. So the margin was, a completely different thing there.
Completely
right?
different thing than we are
Yeah.
now. And so you're looking at unemployment, you're looking at housing, you're looking at all things going on. There's some bright spots. But I always say when you're in a 100-foot hole and you still have 75 feet to go, we don't get too excited yet. So the Fed's been very cautious in what they're saying. We know that at some point they'll raise the rates. But if you go from 0% to 0.25%, wow. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see how that's going to scare the bond market like
Yeah, it's not like leapfrogging from Omaha to San Francisco, please.
No, but now if they went from 0 to 1, that'd be a little different story.
Agreed.
My gut says the Feds may raise before the end of the year, and if they do, they'll do it at the end of the year. Otherwise, I don't see the Feds doing anything until next year.
Well, the last time was what, 2006? Like just summer of 2006?
Exactly. And primarily because you look at the housing market, we're still low on inventory, so we're not seeing huge sales. Sales are good. If we had inventory, it would be fantastic. You look at unemployment. We're going through seasonal employment right now where people got jobs for the summer.
Yep.
So that skews things a little bit. Plus, you have all the stuff out there that isn't logging in, people that stopped looking for work, people that stopped filing, people for that. We probably still have an unemployment rate probably in the 8 to 10% range
Right.
out there realistically.
Minnesota doing better, but the national unemployment
Minnesota's
rate.
actually doing very well.
Yep.
And so when they sit there and they look at this stuff, everybody tries to speculate because obviously they want to be ahead of the game, kind of like in trading places when they bet on the orange crop. You can't do it. And what it comes down to is these bond traders on Wall Street, I mean, they deal with billions of dollars.
By the way, may I interject? That's a great analogy because sometimes it does seem that silly and that Hollywood-like, but it is that way. That movie was not too far from reality in regard to what happens every day in the, the financial world and what
betting
have
on
you.
the markets.
Yep, absolutely.
And so these bond traders, I mean, they deal with billions of dollars, and we can't understand that. And there was an article in the Star Tribune years ago that said bond traders on Wall Street are out of touch with real life and reality. And you think about it, if you're handling billions of dollars, you probably are to a point.
Yeah.
So
it's funny money. It's monopoly money at that
so
point.
any movement in the market is going to skew that $1 billion huge. So their tendency to knee-jerk and do things based on what the market does is a little unrealistic, but it's warranted in their head because they're protecting their investments. Right now, we got the added mess overseas with Greece and all that stuff. They've got $1.7 billion due next week or something like that. So Greece is goofing us up a little bit too because people are trying to figure out what to do with their money as well. The U.S. economy overall, I think it's pretty stagnant. There's slight growth. Unemployment's not fantastic yet. The housing's got to stimulate it.
Yep.
Once housing gets
always
going,
does.
Yep.
It
Once
always
housing
does.
gets going, the rest of the market will stimulate.
Yep.
So the rates we're at, and somebody asked me, where do you think rates are going to go, Tom? Well, shit, if I knew, I'd be driving a Porsche and not a 93 F-150. But it's like, I don't think they're going anywhere. I mean, I think we're stuck in a range. I think we're going to see sub 5% rates, and which is higher than where we're at.
Right.
But I think we're going to see sub 5% rates for the next year to year and a half.
That's a long stretch.
That is
So
a very long stretch, considering we've been in the stretch we're in for almost 3 years now.
Yeah. So if anybody's thinking about getting into a house, getting into a townhome, whatever your situation is, there's a good latitude of time here to really keep considering and taking advantage of incredible rates of good stuff.
There is, and the nice thing is housing prices. While housing prices are going up, they're not going up rapidly. They're going at a more of a normal appreciation, and they're saying that houses are worth about what they were now prior to the meltdown.
Okay.
In most cases. Now, of course, that depends on what state you're in, what area of the state, stuff like that. There's still things that are getting kicked in the butt, like lake property and stuff like that. But overall, you're seeing the prices rebound, and that's nice.
My daughter's 25. I know what she pays for rent, and she has 2 roommates in the apartment that they have, and it's a nice place to live. But, I wish I would have had more of that sort of thing going on in my head, and I'm encouraging it now in her head. And I'm not dissing my mom or dad, but I just didn't get that sort of bearing from them. And that is, she moving on forward with her career and the things she's doing, even at the income level that she is at now, I'm getting her to, start thinking about the next year or so, and you should be looking at something that you would own. Bring a roommate in, and you're gonna come out better than you are on rent.
And here's the reason why. A friend of mine from high school who actually lives in the city, her name's Maria Hutchinson, she just posted that she's got a 13.5% rent increase coming up on her lease.
Oh, geez.
Landlords are loving this right now.
Oh, of course they are.
I have somebody else I'm getting. I'm
and her rent's already at like $1,250 a month or $1,500 a month or whatever.
Like
right,
that. Yep.
Right.
I'm doing a loan for somebody else that's moving. She's moving because her rent's going up 15%.
Jeez, that's a big hit.
So to own a home is not a bad idea right now.
Right.
It's an investment. Obviously, there's a lot of differences. You got to cut the grass, you got to shovel the snow, you got to fix the wall, whatever.
But you still get that mortgage interest deduction. That's a huge thing,
which is better than a rent deduction. And you've got an informative annuity because you're putting money away into a house that's going to hopefully appreciate in equity.
Well, I think we're past the bubble enough to go that that value is going to hold in ways way different than 2007, 8, and what happened because of that.
Well, this is the most mortgages we've talked in a while.
It's true. Although we fit in our fair share of BS for the first half.
That's
of the show.
true. That's
and 2 episodes of singing, I might add.
Oh my goodness, we might get more in there, but it's a great time to buy.
Yeah.
And we've got some guests coming up in the next couple of weeks that we've lined up that'll talk a little bit more about what's going on in the markets. What's going on with values, remodeling, all sorts of different things, and we're going to get into that more as we go, as well as some of these fun people we know, like Mr. Fun
himself, Joe Anderson. Yeah,
yep, that'll be a good one
next week.
And we're going to have him talk about flooring because he had a little flooring company for a while.
He had that going on for a pretty good stretch. Talk about the remodeling world and the things you can do to add value to the home. That's certainly one of the big ones.
And Dave Sinekin will be on, and we got just a slew of them, but we got a couple different people from the real estate community coming in, and so to give different flavors and different ideas of what's going on out there. I mean, obviously, those of us in the industry want people to buy homes because we make money, right? But at the same point in time, we want to make sure they're informed about what's going on because maybe it doesn't make sense for them to sell or buy, or maybe it doesn't make sense for them to refinance. And anyway, it's ethical is going to be honest about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was working on a post that I'm going to put on my page at the radio station where I work at Go 96.3. And I was inspired to do this post.
Shameless plug.
Based on what we're doing with our show here. But also just I was thinking about just those people that might be thinking about getting into that first ever home purchase, as we were talking to a number of guests about that the last couple of weeks, and then bringing up the narrative of maybe my kid the next year and just other people of that mindset. And the bit I wanted to write about, and I'll finish the post tomorrow and get it posted, is there's some things that you can start, in addition to saving for that down payment and stuff, there are some things that you can start acquiring now and adding to your inventory of home stuff, even though you may live in an apartment or a duplex or whatever, that are going to be key elements that you're going to, and key tools that you're going to carry forward. And when you get into that first home, because you mentioned mowing the lawn, doing this and that, I'm not saying you're living in an apartment and a townhome or a rental and buy a lawnmower now if you don't have to. But there's some key things that you can add to the inventory right now. And the one that occurred to me more than anything else was my power washer. I mean, it's you know what I'm saying? I mean,
you got to get a nice 1,800 PSI one.
You got to get a good one. You got to get a nice 5-horse deal because the size of it is no different than the smaller, more wussy models. But anyhow, for $350, even living in an apartment, even living in a rental of some sort or whatever, you've usually got a storage bin for that thing. And I'm just saying here, and I'm going to say that in the blog post, and I'm saying it on the show here. This thing is a great tool that you will carry forward with you and hold on to. Hold on to for the next 20, 25 years.
I've had mine 15 years.
There you go. And you will use it now. You will make use of it now. You will find uses for it now, whether it's using a gentle power spray, washing your car, as I was doing out in the front lawn, out in the front driveway. The bins, the garbage bins, how stinky they get, and that can apply to any number of things that happen in the home. They just get something crusty or coated on them, and so the garbage and recycling bin. I do this, every spring. Early summer.
Well, Mr. Clean?
I don't even use Mr. Clean. I just get in there with the high pressure, wand and just blast that stuff out of there, and it just cleans right out. It's all organic, so it's going into the, it's all organic going into the gutter. And it's not much of it at all.
Put the high pressure stream on. and join any water gun fight in the neighborhood, and you will win.
And by the way, do not take this advice to the pedal pub world. Keep those away from the pedal pubs.
Oh gosh, yes.
But you know what I'm getting at? Even a small shop vac.
Nope.
You'll make use of a shop vac, a wet dry shop vac.
I've been doing that with my kids already.
See what
I
I'm
buy them
saying?
stuff like
Yeah,
shop
yeah.
vacs, and I a nice little my daughters have a nice little basic tool kit.
Exactly.
My
That's
son's
where I
got
was
a tool
going,
kit.
Tom. That's where I was going. Just a nice, red toolbox or whatever. That's what
Craftsman.
what you're going to want in there is the hammer, the screwdrivers, some sockets. If you can afford and get a cordless, drill, get a cordless drill. I mean, these are just great things to have even now, and that they're going to carry through when it comes to that home ownership time in a huge way. I mean, in a huge way.
Well, and I started doing it when the kids started getting apartments and stuff in college. I started saying, well, you're going to need this, you're going to need that. You take care of it, some Craftsman tools, things like that.
Yep.
And by the time they get to true home ownership and know what the heck they're doing,
gonna have a pretty good
these things
inventory.
they're going to be happy about it. I mean,
Exactly.
Get them I get them a small shop vac, not the big ones, because
That's all you need now. But even the small shop vac's going to serve them in that first house.
or they can use it to blow up their tube when they go floating down the Cannon
Yes,
River.
they
or something.
can. But what happens if even a little water leak happens in your apartment underneath?
Suck it up.
And before the landlord can get there or whatever, you can be there doing a little triage and not have any more damage happen. Even though even though the damage isn't your responsibility, what I'm getting at is if it's something big and you're not able to triage it, the landlord is going to have to come in or hire the people to come in, and you will be inconvenienced by this pain in the butt moment. And so why not make it better right now? If you're at home and the leak happens and you're there, you're taking care of business.
But just imagine if Tim the Toolman Taylor was right here right now. He'd be going, shop vac. Oh my gosh! No, I think a shop vac's a great thing. Even the small ones, I think they're awesome, and they're not expensive.
No. And again, something that you will hold on to, for the next 10, 15 years or whatever. You'll just hold on to that tool for sure. So anyhow, that's the blog post, and I thought I'd bring it up on the show here because there are little bits and pieces, again, that you can do. But, bear in mind, if you can take $300 and put it into your savings account for the down payment, that'll be your decision to make whether to buy something like that or to do that. You make that choice, but make sure you continue to save toward your goal of getting into home ownership.
I think that's something I'm going to add to it because, I do some blog posts on the Facebook page. I think I'm going to add that to it because I've been talking about, buying a house, the credit reports, things like that. But that's a good point to something like that.
Some of the
you don't think about
things,
that.
yep.
Especially around Christmas time when the stuff's really on sale and, Black Friday or something like that.
Or as the case would be, mom or dad are looking to do something for you, and they want to, and they're saying, hey, we want to get you a nice present for Christmas, or we want to get you a nice something for your birthday, and whatever that means, nice. But if you say, hey, you know what, I'd really like a shop vac, and then you're not even spending any money on it, and your mom and dad are happy to buy it for you.
My son had us buy him a knife block and knives.
See, that's great. Again, perfect.
I'm like, okay. Just be careful.
If you're getting some decent Wusthoffs, again, tools that will last you your entire life, and keep them sharp. Get them into the sharpener every 6 months or so, and then use your steel and use your sharpener at home, but keep those things sharp. They're safer if they're sharper, by the way. But what'd you spend on that for your son? Probably $150, $200 or something like that. Or?
I think I bought it on sale for about $70.
Well, there you go.
Like
but still, you bought it on sale. It was probably $1.50 original price, and those are some good knives in that block.
My wife and I still have our original set of Corel dishes from college.
See, there's another one, right?
Those things don't go away; they don't break.
Yep, you'll always use them. Absolutely.
So that's what we buy the kids: Corel, stuff like that. But it's
Corningware, Corel, all that stuff. Yep.
Good investment.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, time flies, BT.
Away we go, Tommy. That's how it works here on the Mortgages and BS show. Absolutely.
So let's see now. Next week we got Joe Anderson.
Joe Anderson, Mr. Fun. We know him from a lot of work that you and I did together back in the day at radio stations here in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. Fun was working at KFAN.
KFAN?
And I was working down the hallway at Cities 97. Fun went on to work at 1500 KSTP for a stretch there and had some good times there. He had the flooring company for a while there. Got his own little side business going there. Had that rocking. Now he's in the realty world.
Hockey dad in realty world. He works for a real estate company over in St. Paul, and he really enjoys it.
A great personality, too.
Oh,
great guy.
Goof. Yeah. He's from Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
Sheboygan.
And then we got Dave Sinnigan the week after that. I'm sure he'll want to talk some Packers.
And we're looking to line up Cindy there a week after that. Yeah, we haven't confirmed that one, but we're looking to get it lined up.
And then the week after that, we're actually going to have two individuals that are managers of real estate offices in the Twin Cities. Ruth Helmgren, who's over in Hudson, and Josh Truman, who's down in Apple Valley. And they're going to talk a little bit about careers in real estate and the differences on the different sides of the river and stuff like that. And, for people that are interested in something like that. And, of course, I know they're going to hit me with mortgage questions because I work with both of them.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. That's going to happen. That's absolutely how it should happen, and we'll reveal more as we get into the weeks ahead. Have a great week, my friend.
I'm planning on it. Like I said, I'm going north.
Nice indeed, and crank up that Johnny Holm and that Jimmy Buffett, and fare thee well and be safe on the waterways, and we'll catch up with you next week on the Mortgages and BS Show.
You as well, BT. Take care, bud.